WD, what we call Forward project. Some of you may be aware of this already, but for those of you who are not, this is the moment when we reveal all. So we started looking at the company, where we were, and this is our assessment of where we currently are, which you all well know. We've now reached the point where we've reached a turnover of £2 million plus, and we've got, as Nick mentioned earlier, 18 employees, all based in Monmouth, although, of course, we regularly sort of use the expertise of Stratus 21 in the website and application side as well. And Counteract today is completely reliant on a Progress database. It's written in a Progress 4th generation language. We have two interfaces, character and graphical. Without getting too technical, that means that the character is a thin client and the GUI we probably describe as a medium client. But we require virtual private networks or leased lines to run the system, and we are totally and utterly reliant on Progress software. So we started thinking a few years ago about what we were going to do to move forward. Trouble with having a product called Forward is it makes lots of puns in what you're saying. So we were going to move forward, and what we were going to do to actually modernize Counteract. So we talked about various options. The first one was that we could do nothing, but I don't think that's a very good thing to do. And then we considered various options. We could do a complete rewrite, but that's too big. The system is now enormous and it risks stability, which is absolutely paramount to us. We looked at a Progress product called Kendo UI, which would have involved a complex rewrite of the sort of front end of Counteract. We thought that that would have at least 3 years impact on the development roadmap. We'd have licensing issues. We'd have to do some pretty heavy code restructuring. And of course, anytime you start doing that, you risk instability, which is something we don't want. And of course, it's still Progress. So we became aware of a company and a product called Forward, which I think it's fair to be honest and say that at the beginning we were a little skeptical about, but we were interested enough to make further inquiries. We actually met with the people. They came over from the US, where they're based. They're called Golden Code. And we very quickly became highly impressed and actually believed what they were telling us they could do. That was about 18 months ago that we started on that. So with Forward, we end up with a system that is written in Java. And the good news is that the amount of work that the development team actually have to do is very limited, because they have a marvelous product which actually runs automated processes to convert our Progress code into Java for us. And that can be done as obviously as an initial process, but then it's ongoing, so that any changes and new developments we do, we just run the conversion process and we end up with Java code that replicates exactly what happens in Progress. So as part of this, the database moves onto Postgres SQL. Again, very great confusion with Progress and Postgres, but it's Postgres SQL. And I think one of the really big things is that we're actually able to carry on deploying in Progress, or we can deploy under Java. And also we're able to develop in Progress and then convert the code, or in the fullness of time at our own timescale, we can move into developing under Java. Some of you will be glad to see the next point on the slide, which is that it offers full character support. So this product will give us the ability to run character as we do now, or graphical. And I think the next one is very important. It has a very manageable impact on the roadmap. What we didn't want to do was stop doing everything that everybody asked us to do while we went off and modernised the product. So it's very much being done in stages.
I think, Denise, that's just worth pointing out that obviously this has been running for 18 months, and the last issue that we've had 600 and something changes. You're already around 400 changes for the next issue.
Yeah.
With going on. So
yeah,
just an important point to mention.
Absolutely, indeed it is, which I think is on the next slide. What does forward give us? Well, I think for you as customers, it's going to look exactly the same. So you don't have to train your staff. They don't have to get used to a new system. That you're going to get stability in your obviously vital system that you use for your businesses every day. But as we move forward, the system will run in a browser, and being Java, it will give us extra features, better licensing option, better access to features such as disaster recovery, which in the progress world costs you an arm and a leg, to be frank. And it gives us all of these sort of extra plus points for border. So it actually puts us completely in control of what we're doing when. It gives us, device independence, which is definitely something that we don't have with the progress system. It gives us access to a bigger pool of developers. There aren't many people that know about developing in progress, so it gives us better options there. And it's under our control, so we can carry on writing things in progress, which obviously the development team all know. But when we're ready, we can start to retrain in Java, and we can start to take advantage of the features that will give us. I think it's fair to say also that the decision to go to the forward project is a huge investment by Border. So we're actually investing in the longevity of the system and what we can achieve. So it will be a staged modernisation. So phase one, as I say, it will look exactly the same. We're going to see a little demonstration, so that will give you the reassurance that what I'm saying is actually true. But it gives us all of these different features, and it will result in us having zero dependence upon progress. And then there will be a phase two where it will become much more device independent. So we're right at the beginning of this project. As Nick just said, we've been on this project for 18 months, and inevitably it does have an impact on Border. But as Nick just said, the latest issue has got over 600 changes in it. So I hope that it hasn't had a noticeable effect on the development and what we're able to do from that point of view. But this just gives you an idea of the areas of the business that will be affected by us making this decision. In the early part of this project, it's been largely development that have been impacted. We've had weekly catch-up meetings. We've had to do slight changes to the software to accommodate forward as we've gone along. And we're just in the phase of doing the development testing and debugging, which, to be fair and to be honest about it, it's hard going, and it has been hard going. If you can imagine the complexity of the system, there's quite a lot to look at, and different features to test and so on. But we are getting to the point where that is going to come to an end, and we're going to then move into the next phase, which is detailed testing, which will be done by the support team. And also, obviously, the technical services side have been impacted as well, because they're starting to look at the new environment, the new databases, and look at all the plans for deployment and setting up and so on and so forth. But it will roll through. So it will roll through to the support team, and also inevitably into the commercial side, because obviously Phil needs to be able to talk to people about it. We need to look at the marketing side, and we and we need to look at everything. There is under that point there, we've got changes to licensing. Just to reassure you, we don't intend any detrimental effect to occur as a result of this in terms of licensing and how we license the product, but it will be slightly different.
Denise?
Yes?
Just reiterate, you know, there's no issue with progress. We don't have,
No, none whatsoever, none at all. Progress is a fantastic database. It's given us stability for the last 25 years. I think the company's been using Progress. We've always found the Progress technical team to be very helpful and excellent. But we do feel that we're slightly constrained, I think I would say, by Progress, which is why we looked at the modernisation and that whole thing of being able to move forward and look at cloud installations, having hosted systems, and the device independence.
But the stability of the system is always our
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think members of the development team would say that our prime consideration is we do no harm. So that's our primary goal in life, is to do no harm. Your businesses. So we do take it very seriously.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we just got a quick video to run through for that Robin's done on the Forward project, and then we'll give you just 2 minutes to go and grab a drink or have a...
I think before we start the video, I just want to say that please bear in mind that this is still in the development stage. So if you do notice anything that's not absolutely perfect, don't panic. It's just where we are at the moment.
Okay. Hopefully you'll be able to hear this.
Hello from development. So you've heard that we're working on an exciting new project to bring you a new Counteract interface, Counteract in FWD. In this mode, Counteract is accessed through your browser, like Chrome or Firefox or Microsoft Edge. So I'm going to give you a quick taste of this new interface. So I'm just going to make this full screen. So starting with the login screen, now this looks very different from what you're used to. It's a login page in a browser, which has the exciting bonus feature that you can use your password manager to store your login details and thus automatically log in. Now this screen looks very similar to the Counteract you're currently using, except it's in a browser window. The core functionality of Counteract will remain the same. For example, in sales and orders, if I was going in to make an account sale, so you can enter a customer account and select the date for the sale. And select your products for the sale, just as you do in current Counteract. The system will remain consistent in this new environment, so regular processing won't be affected to users. But there are some new features to Counteract in the FWD environment. So let's have a look at those. So let's just abandon this sale. When you generate a report in Counteract, you get this option for view on screen. Now in current Counteract, this locks the selection screen into view mode, and you have to close the report to do anything further with that report. But in the FWD environment, the option opens the report as a text file in a new tab in the browser, and the selection screen is not locked, which has a rather cool advantage that you can open multiple reports in the view on screen mode at the same time. So I can come in here and I can change my selection. And view it as screen again. And then I have two selections at the same time. That's excluding zero balances, and that's over a Gillen value of 10. Bit random. So these tabs will remain open even after I close the report screen if I hit the right button. So to manually close them. So we're coming to the end of my wee video now, but not before I show you my favourite part of the FWD counteract. In the FWD environment, the browses have been enhanced. I'll show you what this means. In these enhanced browsers, you can sort by multiple columns at the same time. So I can sort by status, then by type of sale, and then by salesman. And you can switch the order that this is sorting in from descending to ascending and vice versa anyway. And if you want to reset to the default, you just reset. You can also filter the column contents. So I can say I want to look at all statuses that contain a veil, and then I only want to look at delivered ones that were done in January. Now that is pretty cool. I hope you all enjoyed this little view of FWD counteract. A quick note, for those of you who do use character counteract, it is supported in the FWD environment and remains consistent in this new environment. So processing won't be affected for the users. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day.
So we've had a couple of questions on that. Thank you for that. How long do we think the forward project will take from now? That's a big question.
That's a big question. We're going to be moving into the intensive testing phase from the start of May. That's our plan. We're probably realistically looking towards the end of the year for thinking in terms of having any sort of beta installation. And it's probably going to be next year before we're actually even talking about converting existing customers to it. It's a big project.
Big project. And is this graphical only, to these?
No, character and graphical.
Yeah. And does that mean what Robin was demonstrating there? Could you, for example, open two Excel spreadsheets at the same time? So, for example, if you were doing credit control, perhaps.
Yes, you could.
Yeah. Excellent. This is a question for some. If we were hosting a system, what happens with forward if the internet goes down?
Presume that you lose it, but it's a good question.
Does that mean, and I mean, it depends on how you have it.
Yeah, it does. That does depend how it's deployed.
You're not going to have to deploy necessarily via the cloud or a hosted system.
No.
You can continue to have a server on premises if you want.
You can, yes. So there are different options for deployment.
But I mean, I think this is one of the areas, isn't it, that we're working our way through. We're relatively early in the project, so deployment is obviously naturally going to be a little way further down the line, and we've got a lot of testing to do anyway as well, and we're going to test it to death.
We are.
Or we let it loose on anybody's system. So
yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of effort going in.
I mean, licensing is going to throw up a few questions. So would somebody be able to have multiple logons and a character license?
No, I don't think so. We've allowed for multiple logons for people who have different companies, but I think the whole licensing side is not finalised yet. So
yeah, I think that's correct.
yeah.
So again, yeah, just to reiterate, you won't necessarily need to in the future after Forward, you won't necessarily need to have a server on site. You'll still have the option to do that. To have that. This is all about us giving you more options to deploy the system and how you use it. And the device independence is a big thing. Obviously, we're looking to get people much more mobile these days. They want to be able to use it on different types of screens moving around. So that will be a big benefit, hopefully, to you guys once we get that in place. Okay.
Yeah, I've actually got a message from Dean here. So the question about the internet goes down. That's the same with any hosted solution, which is quite right.
Yeah, exactly. You're with a hosted or a cloud-based solution, you're only as good as your internet.
Yeah, that's one of the downsides of having a hosted system.
Yeah. I've been asked somebody on character.
Okay.
So if you could have multiple character logons and multiple browser tabs, do we think?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
I
check with the Forward people, I think. Is probably the answer for that, isn't it?
to say we like the sort of policing of licenses is definitely an open topic at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Denise. So Denise, you want to talk about the development roadmap?
Indeed. See if I can get lost in the technology again. Okay. Underland. Okay, so we thought we'd have a little bit about the development roadmap. Just to start with 29B. So we closed that release on the 5th of November. It took us a little while to do all the testing and make sure that we were happy, and then we started the rollout, as we always do, by doing a few volunteers. And it's very much into the swing of being rolled out to everybody now. And Nick tells me that we're on target to be at 50% of customers by the end of this week, which is really great. 29B contains 601 changes to Counteract. So I think it's quite important to take that on board, because that work continued right alongside the Forward project, and has had minimal. Forward project has minimal impact on what we've been able to do. The next issue will be called 31B, and as of yesterday, it already included 345 changes to Counteract. So as you can tell, we're not letting up anytime soon. The actual closure date for that release is still to be confirmed. What we're trying to do is maximize what we're getting into it, but also we need to avoid testing crossover with Forward. So we're probably looking at late May or early June for the closure of that issue. And then, of course, we go through the testing and the sort of initial customers before the general release goes out. So what next for 31B? Well, I just want to reassure everybody that we will continue to do requests from customers to add and improve functionality, but with a definite emphasis on graphical, which I know won't please everybody, but is where the emphasis is going to be. We maintain character, but we definitely don't do very much development in the character side of things. Although there are exceptions, and one of those was the sort of mandatory checks on what information you're putting in on cash sales, for instance. One of the other important things that we do is to support the functionality needed for all the e-commerce projects that are out in use, and of course the financial portal. So we do that. We're looking at card integration. This will be in 3.1b. We had hoped to get it into 2.9b, but we didn't manage it. We're looking at two different products. One's called Payment Sense, which is for the customer present transactions, and another product called Prompt, which is a pay by link for customer not present transactions. So, for example, if you were doing a customer order and you wanted a deposit, you could send someone a request for a payment, and they would click on the link in their email and they could make the payment, and then Cantract would know about the payment being made. Sorry, my phone just went off. We continue to work with Stratus 21 on the proof of delivery application, phase 1, which is either the delivery happened or it didn't. So we've already done quite a lot of work on the electronic proof of delivery stuff in Cantract. Some of the feedback we've had this morning about the what 3 words and so on, I think there will be other things that we will integrate into 3.1b in that kind of area to support that. And the app to actually do the ePod is actually now in production, in development at Stratus, and so we'll be working alongside them to bring it to fruition. We're also working on some advanced supplier rebate facilities. So our supplier rebates at the moment are fairly simple. You basically can look at the turnover that you do with a supplier and you can apply a percentage. The advanced rebate facilities will be much more sophisticated, not just based necessarily on the turnover, but potentially on weight or area or volume, any of the other sort of things that suppliers can think up. We have very sophisticated rules for what's subject to rebate and what's not subject to rebate, and you will be able to have rules that are sort of match the schemes that the suppliers dream up to make life as difficult for checking whether they're paying you the right amount of rebate or not. Plus, we will be continuing to work on the Forward project. So we're still involved in the development testing side of things. There are minor changes that we're having to do for the Forward project, but not major work at all. And then, well, we will continue to do requests from customers, and we will carry on doing that. So we know that's very, very important. One of the things I would like to do is add linked documents for products. So that would be for things like COSH. And I think we will need to look at how those are used, where they're stored, and how they interact with information that you might have for a website as well. We want to extend delivery notifications and order acknowledgement to use text and possibly other communication methods as well. And I think we've had some really useful feedback on those sort of areas this morning. So I think that's all going to play into that area as well. Click and collect. I feel like we've done something towards the delivery notifications, but we need to do something also for the click and collect notifications. So we'll be looking at that area. And of course, we'll support the deployment of Cantract under Forward as it progresses. And then in the future, we will begin to look at possibly the redesign of key screens for people who are actually moving to Forward. So that's our plans.
I had a couple of questions.
Go for it.
Denise, we got a couple of questions.
Yeah, fine, yeah.
So Prompt and Payment Sense, will it work with other card providers?
I'm not sure about that, Phil. Would you know the answer to that one more than me?
Well, Payment Sense is a provider. So yeah, if you want to use Payment Sense integrated with Counteract, then you will need to sign up with Payment Sense. And that's a conversation you'll need to have with Payment Sense. They will I mean, obviously, once we've done the integration, we'll and you're interested, we'll put you in touch with them. They will buy you out contracts. They will do like for like in terms of hardware and stuff as well. So just, I think really when it's available, when it's released, have a look at the options and see what you think it's worth it. Payment Sense, we're just the first card provider we've done this integration with. We'll see how it goes. Prompt, it doesn't really matter what provider you use. It's a separate thing. It's a customer not present facility only, and it's cloud-based. So it is really completely separate to your day-to-day card provider. So it's an extra option.
Yeah, I think the thing with Prompt is it moves the liability for non-pay, for whether the payment is bona fide or not, from the merchant to the credit card company. Is that right? I think that moves the actual. Yeah, so that's good.
And obviously, customer present is obviously become a lot more prevalent in the last 12 months. So they've obviously Prompt have got quite a bit of traction, I think, in lots of different markets for this facility. But the ability, you send somebody a quote, you can send them a link for them to pay you securely online before you deliver the goods, and know you're going to get paid whatever happens is a benefit. So again, once we've done the work, we'll send you information out, and you'll be able to register with them, and they'll talk to you direct about facilities and how it works. And then one of the other questions we had was sort of some of these enhancements. Is it possible to get a view as early as possible with them, so that we can sort of customers can have input into how they're working, rather than send them out and then have to make alterations to them later? I know that's a very difficult thing to do, isn't it?
That's a very difficult thing to do, yes.
We'll always try. We're always upfront as we can be. It's obviously part of what we're doing today is to tell you what our plans are and what we're working on. And we're always open to feedback now. I mean,
I'll hold my hand up and say we don't always get it perfect.
Somebody said, does Payment Sense allow customer present transactions? It does.
Yeah, but only through their website. Yeah. Not fully integrated.
No, it's not as smooth as the Prompt process.
It's possible something that they might add to in the future, but at the moment it's definitely separately via their website.
Yeah. Somebody else has said, would it be better not to integrate with SagePay or other e-commerce payment providers other than a new payment gateway? Obviously, we do integrate with SagePay or Opeo, as they are now, on the website. So you can have use SagePay as a payment gateway on your web Counteract integrated website. We haven't done it for the actual the counter shipping integration, but again, I think we'll do Payment Sense. We'll see how that goes, and then we'll be open to potentially to other providers. Okay, I think that's it. That's all the questions we've had. Thank you.